Can we finish paint with a 25mm stroke DA? I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. We're here to answer one question today, and that is, can you do a finish polish with a 25mm stroke machine?
And because it's black paint, whether you love it or hate it, it shows everything. So the results will speak for themselves. Yes or no, can it be done?
Yes, and now this one we're not going for full-on paint correction. It has 207,000 miles on it. It's not at the end of its career, it's actually in very good shape, but the paint, let's just say, has worn a little bit. So we're not here to remove that precious clear coat, we're here to enhance what's already here.
Previous to this, we washed, we decontaminated, and we dried.
Exactly.
So we've properly prepped the paint for polishing, but because it has so many miles, we're not going for perfect paint, as Mr. LaCroix said, because you just don't have much paint to work with.
No, we don't have a lot of paint to work with, and at the same time, when we're done polishing, we'll be adding a ceramic coating to protect it even more.
So we're gonna amp up the gloss, we're gonna amp up the protection, and then we're gonna give it that final icing on the cake.
Exactly, and we're doing all of this with our 25mm stroke dual action machine. Now, in the past, we've told you the best finish comes from a rotary, which it does actually, but you can get a perfectly acceptable, great finish with a long stroke machine as well.
And with the yellow waffle pad, you're gonna get more cut than you would with our rotary jeweling pad, which we typically use on the rotary. So the best combo of cut and finish, we always tell folks, if you're gonna pick one pad, it's the yellow waffle.
If you have one pad in your life, welcome to the one pad in your life. The 25mm machine plus the gold standard waffle pad makes a formidable pairing of power, precision, and finish.
So how are we gonna show them whether it works or not, Ivan?
We'll do a test spot. The test spot is always the best indicator of what's gonna happen.
Where do you like to do a test spot?
I like to use the hood because normally it's the most abused part of the vehicle. And where I'm from, and where you're from as well, we use these wonderful things in the winter called brushes to remove snow. And let's just say there's been a brush or two on this one as well. And it has that fancy-dancy little code in the bottom of that corner of the windshield saying that it can go through the car wash anytime it wants.
So it's seen plenty of brushes in its day, and we have a lot to contend with on this hood.
Right, so let's get a light out here and see what we're looking at. Now, in the new studio, we have this fancy new lighting, which is great. It lights us up perfectly, and at the same time, makes defects disappear. But when we get this light out, the defects show up again.
It's a really nice light for coating application, which is a different video.
Yeah, for coating application, it's great. For polishing, it could be a little better, but luckily we have these lights. And when we look at this surface through the light, ooh, now we see all sorts of damage on here. We see the swirl marks, we see the lines, we see the scratches. But when we take the pointed light source away, all of a sudden it looks good again. And that's what most people are seeing outside in the sun. They're not seeing one little pointed light source. Yes, there's that big light source in the sun, or in the sky, the sun, but that light source isn't as targeted as this.
So say what you want about this paint, a finished polish is not going after the most aggressive things.
No.
We just want to refine the surface.
Exactly, refinement, perfect word. We're going to be doing a test spot. That test spot, little area, 16 by 16 roughly. We're going to do 3 passes. Take a look at what we have, and then decide from there, do we need to do more, or are we gonna have a perfectly satisfactory result using this? Off we go. Did our standard 3 passes, which is left, right, up, down, left, right, no pressure on the machine. I was at speed 2 on our 25mm stroke DA, which is more than enough, using a rinseless dampened towel to get the polish residue off, following it up with a dry towel. And looking at the results, I'm very satisfied. But let's get out the Taskmaster, the light that tells all. And it's telling me that I've got about a 70% improvement. The deeper scratches are still there, but the light is now precise, it's crisp. The reflection of the light is exactly what we want. When we go to here, it's fuzzy. We see all the little swirls and marks, so definitely we've got a great result.
Ivan, when I look at what's over here and I compare it to what you did, I see that improvement. How does the DIYer out there, the enthusiast, know what a satisfactory result is? I mean, they may not have these lights, they may not have all the experience you do. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for them to know, does this meet the standard that I could optimally achieve?
The standard that you want to achieve is the standard you set for yourself. If you're happy with the result, that's all you need. You don't need to be trying to satisfy someone else. Now, if you want to inspect it and you don't have the light, you can use the light on your cell phone, and the further away you have that point of light, the better it is. And if you can do it in a darkened room, even better. So, Nick, set up your polisher, get your tool going, I'll get mine, and off we go. Using 2 towels to remove the polish residue actually makes it a lot safer for you. I've got a low nap towel, just lightly dampened in our rinseless wash solution. It helps remove the polish residue by breaking down the polishing oils and carriers using the surfactants in the rinseless wash. Then, a second dry towel, and now I'm just lifting moisture. I'm not having to put pressure to remove polish residue.
Ivan, she's shiny.
Yes, definitely shiny, but now we want to protect that shine. We're gonna be doing so with our 8-year ceramic coating, but before that, we need panel prep.
Panel prep makes sure the surface is clean so that when we put the coating on, it bonds properly.
Exactly. I have 2 towels, a low nap towel, and I'm not going to spray the panel prep on the surface. I'm going to spray it on the towel, making sure that the sprayer is open. And for the first round, I'm actually being quite liberal in the towel here. I want the towel to be damp. Then from there, I take my towel, glide it across the surface, and when I'm gliding it across the surface, you see a rainbow effect. And I want to wipe that dry before it dries naturally. That way, the oils or anything that was on the surface, I've lifted off the surface and taking them away with the secondary towel. Then we just continue going around the vehicle like that. Then we just keep going around the vehicle the way it is.
And Ivan, as you apply the panel prep, are you feeling it differently under the towel once the panel prep is on the paint versus kind of that raw panel?
Right, definitely. There's more of a glide to the surface. The panel prep really helps prepare the surface for the coating. And if you feel it with this towel and you go to here, it just grabs. So here it's smooth and here it grabs.
You talk about floating to the surface with the panel prep and then wiping it away.
Correct.
That's a good visual for me. Float and wipe.
And depending on the temperature and humidity where you are, that time may be a little different. So here today it's quite humid in the shop, and that actually speeds up the curing of the panel prep. So you have to work just a little quicker. And with that, panel prep's all done. Next, on to the coating.
Let's go. So if you've never ceramic coated before, you need a few things. You need an applicator, a short nap towel, like a pearl weave that we sell, and I prefer like a high nap, a fluffy towel.
Right, and of course, a ceramic coating. This vehicle, we're choosing our 8-year ceramic coating. Yes, it's got 200,000 miles on it. This family intends to keep it much, much longer, so we're gonna give it the best protection we can. And I'm gonna start 10 to 12 drops. We don't need that much, but we're just getting the pad primed. And normally we would box in a section and then work the center, but since our pad is definitely overloaded, and that's by design for the first pass, we're going to be starting in the center and working our way to the edge. That way we're spreading the coating out. The other thing is, we don't want to apply too thick of a coating. Too thick is actually counterproductive. As long as it's getting on the paint and thoroughly covering the paint, that's all we need. And then I'm just going to go in a circular motion and keep spreading this out further until my pad starts to drag. Then I know it's time to add a little more. Now, as we mentioned, the humidity in the shop is quite high, and the higher the humidity, the faster the coating cross-links. It's just the way it is. So we can see that here, it's almost ready to wipe off, and it hasn't been that long because of the high humidity in the shop. So off you go, Nick. You can see that about 50% of it is flashed or cross-linked to clear.
Oh, and that wipes off so easy. When it wipes off easy and your towel's not dragging or sticking, then you know you've hit that sweet spot.
Right. And now going forward, I'm just going to add 1 or 2 drops to my applicator, and that's all I need. Now that my applicator is nice and damp, I can box in the section, making sure to overlap onto the fender, overlapping onto the grill.
Sometimes it really does flash quickly, Ivan.
Exactly. Again, the higher the humidity, the faster it's going to cross-link. But even if it cross-links all to clear, you still have a bit of time to play with it. It's not a dire situation.
Let's say folks do let it sit for 15, 20 minutes. They get what's called a high spot. It doesn't want to move under your towel. Then what can they do?
They can take their applicator. They can put a drop or 2 on it and go after the high spot. But this one doesn't have a high spot because I haven't coated it yet. So I'll go around the edge, boxing in the fender, overlapping onto the door, onto the A-pillar, and onto the hood. And then we start filling in the middle. Once it's all filled in and cross-linked to almost clear, we come back and level it off. It's really that easy to apply ceramic coating.
And again, it's going to depend on the temperature and humidity, right?
Right. The lower the humidity, the lower the temperature, the easier it will be to apply the coating.
After you've done this a couple times, or by the end of the vehicle, you have a real good feel for it.
Yeah.
You'll just know what feels easy on your towel and what feels grabby, and this really is cross-linking that quickly.
Right. So again, couple drops on the applicator, box in this panel, and since we know it's cross-linking quickly, I'm not going to do the whole door, I'm just going to do the front half of the door, get out of your way.
The color difference between the coated and non-coated is prominent. I mean, that's how much gloss I feel like this is adding.
There you go, so the front half of the door is done. I'll keep going back while you wipe off the front. Very important to get in and around this door handle. And that'll give the owners a nice tactile feel of how slick their coating is every time they grab the door handle.
Nice and easy.
Don't want to forget to do the glass as well while you're here. Seeing out the windows that are coated makes life much easier.
And again, I know I said this, but this first towel is for leveling, the second is my insurance. Just in case I left something behind, I'm swooping in. But mostly we're just leveling the excess coating with the towel back over the paint. Exactly. So we don't want this towel to get wet.
No, we're not removing anything, we're spreading it out. So the whole door is done, the upper and the window.
Okay, Evan, I think we got the idea.
Yeah. And if you like the idea of ceramic coating, well, you can watch this video right here.
A step-by-step process gives you a deeper dive.